In the rich tapestry of MotoGP history, few moments resonate as deeply as Valentino Rossi's seismic decision to walk away from Honda, then the most dominant team in the sport, and sign with Yamaha in 2004. At the time, it felt like a madman's gamble. Today, it's widely recognized as the moment that redefined not just Rossi's legacy, but MotoGP itself. Rossi had already conquered the Premier class by the time the 2003 season wrapped up. From 2001 to 2003, he rode the all-powerful Honda RC 211 V2 31 wins and 3 straight titles. On paper, he was in the perfect position to ride out his career on the most advanced bike in the paddock. But inside the garage, Rossi was growing restless. The wins, while still sweet, had begun to feel routine. And that was the problem. In his own words, as captured in his 2005 autobiography, "What if I had never tried it?" Rossi wrote, "When you arrive at a track knowing that your only option is to win, and on top of that, when you do win, your victory will be viewed as totally normal. Well, this simply disgusted me. I myself had started becoming slightly paranoid." That quote reveals everything you need to know about Rossi's mindset. It wasn't just about winning, it was about proving a point. Rossi believed that the rider, not the machine, was the true heart of racing. So instead of re-signing with Honda, he joined Yamaha, a struggling team that hadn't tasted championship success in years. The challenge was immense. But that was exactly what Rossi wanted. Before even throwing a leg over the M1 in a race, Rossi demanded that Yamaha provide him with a bike capable of winning immediately. When he tested the machine in early 2004, he wasn't convinced it was ready. But that didn't stop him. What followed was one of the most remarkable feats in motorsport history. In his very first race with Yamaha at the South African Grand Prix, in Welcome, Rossi took a spectacular victory. That win wasn't just emotional, it was symbolic. He had done the unthinkable. He beat Honda on a bike that just months earlier wasn't even a serious title contender. He ended that season with 9 wins, matching his 2003 tally with Honda, and won the championship in his debut year on the M1. Reflecting on that race and decision, Rossi later said, "I remembered all those who insisted that leaving Honda for Yamaha was crazy, a hopeless choice." Well, from that moment on, this was no longer true. In that one season, Rossi didn't just win a title. He shattered the myth that only the best machine could win. His input during testing transformed the Yamaha M1, helping the team resolve fundamental handling issues. Rossi brought not just skill, but a racer's instinct and development insight that elevated the entire quiz. But what many fans don't realize is how different the story could have been. Rossi's move to Yamaha wasn't the only dramatic twist in his career trajectory. After a disastrous stint with Ducati between 2011 and 2012, marked by mechanical issues, uncharacteristic crashes, and 0 wins, Rossi was desperate for a new direction, and that's when Suzuki entered the picture. The story, as revealed by David Brivio, Rossi's longtime confidant and former manager, adds an intriguing what-if layer to the legend. Speaking to Slick magazine, Brivio recalled at the beginning of 2012, "Suzuki MotoGP boss Shinichi Sahara contacted me. He said, 'We really want to come back, and we will do it in 2014. So I would like to know if Valentino is interested in joining the project.' At the time, Rossi's Ducati contract was set to expire at the end of 2012. The offer from Suzuki, while flattering, came with a catch. It was a long-term gamble. Suzuki wouldn't return to MotoGP until 2014, meaning Rossi would have to sit out a full season or find a temporary home. Brivio passed the offer along to Rossi, who was clear he needed a bike for 2013, not for 2014, so he couldn't wait for Suzuki. Brivio politely declined on Rossi's behalf, but the conversation reopened another chapter for him personally. Sahara returned to Brivio with a different proposal. Would he be interested in leading Suzuki's MotoGP return as team manager? And this time, the answer was yes. By autumn 2012, Brivio had traveled to Japan to begin planning Suzuki's comeback, while Rossi sealed the sensational return to Yamaha for 2013. The two careers, once so closely intertwined, split paths. Brivio eventually led Suzuki to a world title in 2020 with Joan Mir, while Rossi continued to race until his retirement in 2021. But that brief moment in 2012 could have rewritten history. Imagine a world where Rossi led Suzuki's return instead of rejoining Yamaha. Could he have won races or even another title on the GSXR? We'll never know, but the potential was tantalizing. What we do know is this: Rossi's return to Yamaha didn't bring more world titles, but it gave us unforgettable rivalries, legacy-defining moments, and a continued presence that kept fans invested in the sport. His influence extended beyond the track, particularly with the creation of his VR46 team, now a fixture on the MotoGP grid. Today, VR46 is Ducati-powered and managed by Uccio Salucci, Rossi's lifelong friend and confidant. Although they haven't clinched a title yet, the team has remained competitive and possibly interested in bringing young stars like Pedro Acosta into the fold. That competitive hunger is unmistakably Rossi. Salucci, in a recent interview with Mo Trent, compared Rossi to some of the greatest athletes in sports. They are all like Rossi from a personal point of view. You see them who know their own thing. They always have a word for everyone. They are smart. They would need more. He grouped Rossi with legends like Michael Jordan, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Roger Federer, not just for their talent, but for their character and influence. It's a rare compliment, but one that feels well-earned. Even in retirement, Rossi's schedule remains relentless. In 2025, he's competing in 4 racing categories, including the World Endurance Championship and GT World Challenge Europe. He's already secured a race win and a runner-up finish at Imola. When time permits, he attends MotoGP races, though his commitments to Team WRT and LMGT3 limit those appearances. Still, when Rossi is present, his impact is felt. Riders, fans, and team members treat him as more than just a legend. They treat him as the man who made MotoGP what it is today, but not every chapter of Rossi's Yamaha journey was smooth sailing. In 2008, the team made a controversial decision to sign Jorge Lorenzo, then the reigning 250cc champion, as Rossi's teammate. The reaction was explosive. I was quite angry with Yamaha because they thought that they needed a newcomer. They needed a very strong rival, Rossi recalled. I said, for why? Rossi felt betrayed. He had taken Yamaha from the bottom to the top, and now they were bringing in someone who could threaten his position. The rivalry between Rossi and Lorenzo would go on to define a new era of MotoGP. In 2008 and 2009, Rossi asserted his dominance, winning back-to-back championships. But by 2010, Lorenzo struck back, winning his first of 3 MotoGP titles, including a season-best 9 victories. Their duels were intense, with Lorenzo once admitting that to beat Rossi in the 2015 Catalan Grand Prix, I had to risk crashing. Despite the tension, their rivalry pushed both riders to the limit. Lorenzo would go on to become the only rider to beat every member of the so-called Fantastic Five: Rossi, Marquez, Pedrosa, Stoner, and himself. Meanwhile, Rossi's presence loomed larger than ever. Even after retirement, Dorna and team managers reportedly flirted with the idea of bringing him back into a more active team role, perhaps even replacing current VR46 riders like Franco Morbidelli in 2026. But Rossi doesn't need to sit on the pit wall to leave his mark. His legacy is alive through the riders he inspired, the risks he took, and the rivalries he ignited. So when we ask, what was the moment that changed MotoGP forever? The answer is clear. It was when Valentino Rossi walked away from Hondas. Comfort stared down the critics and said, "I'll win on the slower bike," and he did. MotoGP hasn't been the same since.